Hello everyone, my name is Yulvi Reyes Solorio and today I will be speaking a little bit about Dia de los Muertos. So, I know many of you know where I'm going right now. It's also known as the happiest place on earth. Yes, this is Disneyland. So I'm sure that through Disneyland you have heard a lot about Coco and Day of the Dead. This is because of the large commercialization of the tradition of a culture, which is this Day of the Dead, that many now seem to believe they are well aware of. But in all honesty, it is important for many of those who have built these ideas to recognize the truth about such tradition. The Day of the Dead, as we know it, has become known as a Mexican tradition. However, Day of the Dead originates from our ancestors, the indigenous peoples in Mexico. To be more specific, the indigenous group that began this tradition were the Purépechas. The Purépechas are an indigenous group that is located here in Michoacán, Mexico. They can also be found in parts of Guanajuato and Guadalajara. But in reality, they are mostly found here in this area of Michoacán. The Purépecha Empire, more specifically, is in Tzintzuntzan, this little small town, right next to the lake. Its most precious land is Janitzio, an island inside the lake that is located where the king of the empire once lived. So this is the island of Janitzio. There are also other smaller islands around it, like Tecuana and Yunuen, but Janitzio is specifically known for their tradition because of the empire and the place where the king once lived. So the Purépechas began the tradition of celebrating the death in what is called Fiesta de Ánimas, or the Party of Spirits in English. In other words, the current name associated with this tradition of Dia de Muertos is not the original but the colonized version. The Purépechas shared this tradition with others, but most specifically with the Aztecs, who became one of their top allies. So, right here is Michoacán, and right here is Mexico City, which was where most of the Aztecs could be found. So this meant that when the Aztecs were taking land of the other indigenous groups, they came over to the Purépechas, which are around right here, and they were actually never able to defeat the Purépechas, which is why they became very good friends and they shared many of the traditions, one of them being the Day of the Dead, or Fiesta de Ánimas, which is internationally recognized today to be an UNESCO tradition, specifically for the island of Janitzio. So, the Purépechas have a very unique way of celebrating this event. The island of Janitzio is fully lit up purely by altar candles at the night of the 1st of November. So here you can see a picture of the beautifully decorated tombs. So people stay up all night beginning the 1st of November, praying and keeping company to the altars of their loved ones on their tombs. On these altars you can find cempasúchil, these orange flowers, a picture of loved ones, and all of the things they like to eat, drink, play with, etc. So for example, their blankets, stools they once sat on, food, and other things like that. Another thing that has become commercialized is the need to have a picture of the loved one. And I know here you can see that there is no picture of that person whose tomb they are visiting on this day. This is because in our tradition, you don't need a picture in order for your tomb to be, or your altar to be original or real. This is because in the past there were no pictures. So in reality, as long as you have something that the person used or wore, then you are actually celebrating that person, and it doesn't matter if you have a picture or not. Also, throughout the island, you can hear different bands playing music. So you see them playing music around the altars. They're commonly known as pirecuas. You can see people dancing to the music. And one of the most beautiful aspects of this all is actually the dance of the butterflies. However, before I show you the dance of the butterflies, I would like to show you how small these cemeteries are, and it's amazing to know how much tradition they have, because let me just show you the 360 view. The cemeteries are actually really small, but you can find them throughout the island because they all depend on where you live and you keep your loved ones close to you. So here is one of the cemeteries. Here's the entrance, and here are a few tombs, and then over here is a church. And then, as you can see, the island and the homes and the actual other land. Here you can see where the boats come in and everything around it. So as you can see, it's all in a very steep hill, but the cemeteries are actually really small. I believe there are only there's probably less than 10, even though the island is pretty big. Because there's not that many people that live here, and those who get buried here are actually purépechas, whose family has lived here for a long time. So in other words, they do come from royalty. So going back to the dance of the butterflies, so the fishermen around the island have boats that have wings like butterflies. So every year, nearing midnight, the fishermen go out into the lake and make a dance with their boats to make a call to the spirits and let them know that we are ready to receive them. At this time, everyone leaves to their altars to await for their loved ones and share this time with other family members. In the United States, the culture is much more different, where many do not understand why we celebrate the death. The truth is that we celebrate the memory of those who are not physically here anymore, and we dedicate this time to wish for them to know that they are still living through our memories. However, as more immigrants come into the country of the United States, the Day of the Dead has become much more accepted and understood. It is important that we all stay aware and make sure to not appropriate the culture and commercialize it. So I hope that after seeing this, you will make sure that you're not commercializing this culture and tradition. But something that is also important to remember is that in other Central American countries, which are located mostly here, there are other ways of celebrating the dead. However, in Michoacán, it's mostly known as Fiesta de Ánimas, and this is where you can see most of the face painting and things like that, which is actually not purépecha, but it has become accepted to be part of the tradition. And so I really hope that you enjoyed this presentation. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer them. And next time you go to Disneyland, make sure to realize how they're commercializing this culture, and maybe start learning a little bit more about cultural appropriation, which is what they're actually doing. Okay, well, thank you.